We also need to be innovative and to find win-win methods and to team up with producers and retailers of new textiles.
Build alliance with EU policymakers to show that we are part of the solution and not the problem.
According to reports from the European Environmental Agency, used clothing is expected to be present in 1/3 of wardrobes by 2033. The secondhand clothing industry continues to make efforts to promote a society that reuses as much of its textiles as possible.
We need to increase collection activity in all European countries. Additional support from the municipalities, especially for collections of the second-hand clothes during the transition moment, will be critical in many areas. One measure could be to give VAT exception on the retail sector of second-hand clothes, or at least lower VAT rates to make it more attractive for customers and for retailers. We also need to be innovative and to find win-win methods and to team up with producers and retailers of new textiles. Find ways to collaborate and to coexist. The second-hand clothes business has developed over many years and have built up networks that now can be used to handle bigger quantities of reuse and recycling of textiles. Collectors, sorters and retailers must work together to ensure quality control, proper sorting and efficient logistics. Harmonized standards and definitions distinguishing reusable clothing from waste are also critical to maintain clarity and facilitate trade, ensuring that garments classified as products are not subject to unnecessary restrictions.
Nuestro papel es garantizar que los legisladores comprenden el sector y nos reconocen como socios claves con los que dialogar, transitar juntos hacia una economía textil más circular. Humana España, por ejemplo, lo que ha hecho en los últimos años es adherirse a redes internacionales. EURIC, que es conocida, con sede en Bruselas, es la Confederación Europea de Industrias del Reciclaje, o BIR, que es el Buró Internacional de Reciclaje. Estas redes nos permiten opinar a otro nivel y opinar de modo conjunto. Joint Research Center, que es una entidad de la Unión Europea que trabaja en el ámbito de la investigación y son los que se han encargado en elaborar la propuesta técnica del fin de condición de residuo. Les invitamos aquí a esta planta de Leganés y entendieron el proceso, cómo debería ser explicado en el texto legal cuando un residuo pasa a ser producto de nuevo. Y la verdad es que pues, nos congratula poder haber ayudado en ello, porque es una manera positiva de influir.
The industry must take a proactive role in certain areas. One, collectors. Improve sorting systems to separate true second-hand garments from what is waste. Secondly, sorters and exporters provide transparency that exported clothing are wearable. Third, for retailers, they should educate customers on the values of reuse and sustainability. And finally, build alliance with EU policymakers to show that we are part of the solution and not the problem.
Garson Shaw believes that while the efforts that the European Union is attempting to implement for a more sustainable and environmentally friendly textile industry are necessary, it is important not to forget the work the secondhand clothing industry has done for decades, playing a key role in the secondhand textile management in Europe and globally.
I think we need to work much closer together on a national level as global level, and a closer cooperation with municipalities, because many of the directives and regulations that come out of the EU are based on theory. They have far too little experience into the real world. We need to move much faster and together as one voice. We can see, for example, in Norway, we have a very good cooperation, regular meetings with the other collectors. This meeting also includes a representative from the National Employers Union in Norway.
We welcome, for example, the regulation on the eco-design of sustainable products, which establishes new designs for the creation of textiles that seek to extend the lifespan of garments, incentivizing companies to be more circular and opt for more durable or recyclable materials, for example, waterless dyeing methods. This will also allow those working in the used clothing sector to continue reusing textiles and giving them a second chance in the long term as possible.
We should keep the discussion ongoing between the textile producers, so the ones that are designing the products at the first place, in order to guarantee the circularity of the textiles, but also with the recyclers, with the reuse, with the collectors. And we, as a representative of the reuse and recycling operators, we are really keen to keep the dialogue ongoing, because we cannot transform the whole textile value chain by ourselves. Circularity is an ambition that everyone has. It is a step-by-step approach, and we need the cooperation of everyone.
Article 25.1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights clearly states that clothing is a human right. Having access to good clothes is important for your well-being. I think the industry will have to strive towards making distribution a much easier way. Maybe it's utopia to say that everybody should get what they need, but at least that we strive for that direction. The global trade with secondhand clothes is important for so many people across the world.
Don't destroy what has already been working well. The reuse in Ghana, for example, has been working since the 1960s. 5% of what comes out of secondhand clothing is waste. There are academic reports that have been backing that. Why do you want to restrict the trade whereby 95% of what we are doing is going on well? Why don't we work on seeing how we can mitigate the risk of that 5%? Do we need to look at EPR, whereby measures are created so that maybe fees can trickle down into the likes of Global South, so that there's not going to be any end cycle of clothing, but then it becomes more circular. We move from reuse to recycling to upcycling on a bigger scale.
The work of repair, upcycling, and distribution of used clothing must continue to fall on the existing secondhand clothing industry that for decades has worked efficiently, helping the planet and generating social well-being worldwide. More than 70% of the world's population wears used clothing.
The second-hand clothes industry supports the EU's ambition to improve collection, sorting and recycling infrastructure. However, the Waste Framework Directive should recognize reusable textiles as products, not waste. The second-hand clothes business expects from the politicians to prioritize reuse first and recycling only after all reuse options are exhausted, and to contribute to waste management by directing truly non-reusable textiles to recycling or safe disposal. By following this path, the sector protects textile reuse, support social and economic value globally, and reinforce a circular, sustainable approach to fashion.